Artificial intelligence, technology, and semiconductors are all converging right here in this video. It's going to impact the price you pay of just about everything. But not only that, because it could actually create another war. And I'm going to explain why that's the case and why this is so important to you. Welcome, truth seekers. You've landed in the right place. I want to bring you what others simply can't. So join this grassroots movement of nearly 300,000 people. Hit that subscribe and the notification beside it so that we can conquer this together. Now, speaking of which, I need to really break down what we can gather from this information regarding semiconductors, because that's the big one. This could actually spell a new war on the horizon. Of course, we've seen a lot of that talk. We've seen the rhetoric and the saber rattling. But what does it all mean? Let's go. Asian businesses are being dragged into the chip war. Now, South Korean manufacturers find themselves in a tricky spot. This is another one here because over the last while, we've seen problems with China. China had been, I think it's pretty clear, but we've seen what's going on with Taiwan. This has been nothing but a non-stop back and forth, very concerning time. The prospect of a windfall for South Korea's chip makers is complicated by the country's blend of American and Chinese interests. That's important, all right? Because in South Korea, they want to do business with China. They've been doing so. Think about what happens with Samsung. They don't want to lose their market share. And so they have found themselves in the middle. That's one country. There is no other China. There is only one China. Nvidia's CEO warns of enormous damage if China chip war escalates. Of course, the US doesn't have a contingency if it loses China market for chips. And that's very clear. You can't just cut it off. People say, you just cut them off. You're going to starve them. You're going to do what you did with Russia. Oh, we're going to cut them off. We're going to starve them. And what happened? It actually backfired. You've got to be careful in this way. The US needs China. They set that up. Okay? The West set it up like this. So you can't just simply cut it off. You can't just apply tariffs on top of that because you're hurting people in the US. You have to shift production back. Are they going to do that? It's just ridiculously expensive. You can't even find workers to work at some places right now in the US, millions of empty jobs. Are you going to be able to get factory workers? Where are those workers going to come from? Are they going to be foreign workers? Is that what's going to happen? Does that solve the issue? Not really. And how long does it take to get production up and running? To get a semiconductor plant running, it takes many years and billions of dollars of investment. So it's not something they could just flip a switch and turn it on. If they start now, they'll be good in a few years for a portion, just a portion of what they actually need. Should try to do it, at least for the high-end products. Like Apple builds their highest-end computers, but, in the US, but come on, you're way off from building them all. Let's chat about internet privacy. Imagine you could browse the web stress-free knowing that your data is secure. That's where Private Internet Access, PIA, a top-tier VPN provider, steps in. They're the world's most transparent VPN with a whopping 30 million downloads worldwide. PIA doesn't play around when it comes to your online safety. They've got this unbreakable VPN security that just won't quit, keeping you shielded while online. And the best part, they don't store or record user data, which has been confirmed in court not just once, but several times. That's pretty impressive, right? But it's not just about privacy. PIA's also got you covered for fun. Ever wanted to watch a show that's region locked? With PIA, you can access all major streaming services from anywhere around the globe. So say goodbye to those annoying content not available in your region pop-ups. Just click on the app and change your online location. Here's another cool thing. PIA can protect an unlimited unlimited amount of devices at once with a single subscription, making it perfect for all your tech gadgets. And yes, it works on all platforms: Windows, macOS, Android, Linux, you name it. If you're a little hesitant, don't worry. PIA offers a risk-free 30-day money-back guarantee. But get this, if you use the link in my description, piavpn.com/themoneygps, you'll score an 83% discount on PIA. That's just $2.03 a month, plus they're throwing in an extra 4 months totally free. So what are you waiting for? Give private internet access a shot. You'll gain peace of mind and get the freedom to browse the web as you please. Let's keep our data safe and our streaming unrestricted. Click in the link down below. The chief executive of Nvidia, the world's most valuable semiconductor company, has warned that the US tech industry is at risk of enormous damage from the escalating battle over chips between Washington and Beijing. Our hands tied behind our back. Think about that. Really important stuff, right? If China can't buy from the US, they'll just build it themselves, he said. So the US has to be careful. China is a very important market for the technology industry, and you cannot deny this. They are so far advanced in some ways, and like I said, it was built this way. Oh, let's just offshore all the jobs. Let's just use their cheap labor and relatively cheap transportation costs to make this happen. But it doesn't work like that, does it? There are ramifications. There are problems with this. Singapore warns US EU chip subsidies will drive up costs. Both Singapore and Malaysia produce a disproportionately large amount of the world's semiconductors. So what's going on as well, different countries. Singapore is worried that the massive subsidies of Washington and Brussels are about to spend on new microchip projects will upset the finely balanced global market. So you've got these new laws that are going in place as a result of what we talked about with China, that are essentially saying, let's build the chips here. Billions upon billions of taxpayer dollars are being used to build chips inside of Europe as well as the US. And so doing this, that is what they're trying to do for national security purposes. Let's get it, let's build it in our own countries. However, these other countries are saying, hey, you're kind of screwing us over by doing this. That's not really fair because, you're getting it taxpayer funded versus investor funded. This is going to be a problem. So they're not too happy about that, to say the least. All right. Now, Apple has struck a multi-billion-dollar deal with Broadcom to use more US-made parts. That is beneficial for them, no doubt about it. You've got Israel in this case here. They want to build and expand. That's Intel. They want to expand inside. This is going to create jobs there. At the same time, Intel announced a $4.6 billion facility in Poland. So this is all coming on one after the other. So there's a lot of changes that are taking place. European countries should strengthen relations with Taiwan if they want continued Taiwanese investment in semiconductor production. Now, you got to think about that for a sec, because they're saying, Taiwan's saying, hey, you want us to build all this stuff, you want to be a good partner, well, let's keep the good relations going. But at the same time, China is very good friends with Europe. Europe needs China big time. And Taiwan is finding itself in a very difficult spot because ultimately, China is doing all these deals. They're making things happen. And I think there's going to be some big changes. I think, Taiwan wanting to be completely 100% independent, autonomous. I don't know if that's really going to happen. And I don't know if anybody's going to really step in and save them necessarily. I don't think that the US will go to war over China. Ray Dalio said the same thing in one of his books, in one of the principles books. And quite frankly, I just don't see it. I just don't see why the US would do that. Now the military industrial complex would love that. but that's something that it just doesn't really make sense. They could have the threat, they can have a Cold War, this can create and generate fear and problems, there's no question. But an actual war seems unlikely to me. You let me know in the comments below what you think. Micron nears $1 billion investment in India chip packaging plant. Talks in progress, and the investment could rise to $2 billion. Washington is keen on strengthening supply chain outside of China. So one after the other. You see where I'm going with this, right? I think it's pretty clear. A lot of investment is taking place outside of China. China at the same time is trying to do a lot of business deals with these other countries. They're trying to make things happen, but certainly they've got their own struggles, and there's a lot happening. So many different things, a lot of moving parts here. So let's look at the next part of this video. AI. As generative AI carves out its niche in the technical realm, it's garnering mixed sentiments from business leaders ranging from optimism to apprehension, as revealed in a recent survey conducted by business consultancy KPMG. Basically what they said was they interviewed all these, or surveyed all these people in the C-suite, and they said that they weren't so happy about bringing in AI as, like, you hear a lot of talk about it. Oh, this is the next big thing. But the actual practical use hasn't been that. They've been, you know what, let's slow it down. What I can also tell very clear is that they are asking the question in these boardrooms, the C-suite level. They're saying, what do we got to do to increase productivity, aka fire people, in relation to AI? So that is still happening, but in their implementation of it, like maybe they're using something like a ChatGPT, they're just saying, you know what, the people we have in place right now are better than this thing. So we'll see what happens, but I just want to make that note that businesses are at this point, but it needs to expand further before they actually replace a lot of people. Fakery and confusion, campaigns brace for explosion of AI in 2024. This is something that people should be aware of with a lot of the deep fakes and things. Those are getting better, but personally for me, you can always tell, but who knows, by next year it might get a lot better. So watch out for that. We'll see what happens with all of that nonsense in social media. Humans aren't mentally ready for an AI saturated post-truth world. We're never going to really know anymore once it gets good enough, which shouldn't take that long. What's real, what's fake, who said this, who said that, he said, she said. And so I think that people should kind of just take that all into account before they make a decision. Like you got to know that. That's just a thing. Is this real or is it fake? We're going to have to start asking that question time and time again. Am I real? Am I fake? Who knows? Biggest losers of the AI boom are knowledge workers. And that's one that is very clear. It's not going to replace the skilled trades, let's say, right away. But those jobs that can be just, 1-2 click a button, I think those jobs are really, the clock is ticking on those. You got to know about the technology that's going on today, the advancements that are happening, and one of those that's going to disrupt your life is the CBDC, the central bank digital currency. If you want to know everything about the CBDCs and what it means to you, click right here, watch this video, and I'll see you there.